I'm here today to talk about how I think this year could be the rapture of the church at Feast of Trumpets. But before that, whether you believe there's a tribulation, you believe there's a rapture before the pre-tribulation or mid-tribulation, whatever you believe, the main thing is that you believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the gospel is this, that we have this infinite, all-powerful, all-knowing, perfect God who created man in his own image. And in that, Adam and Eve sinned. And in that sin, we all got this sin nature in us. And with that, we have separation with God because God is perfect and holy and righteous, and he can't have sin in his presence. So then brings in Jesus Christ, our advocate, our great high priest. And Jesus came, born of a virgin, lived a perfect, sinless life, performed countless miracles, and went to the cross willingly. And in that, he died on the cross for my sins and for all those who believe. And he died, he was buried, and he rose again on the third day. And if you believe in that, he absorbed all the wrath that was meant for you on the cross, and you have his holy and perfect righteous life imputed to you. You're clothed in the righteousness of Jesus Christ. So that's the main thing. If you believe in that, all this doesn't matter because you'll be going to heaven and sealed with the Holy Spirit. So anything I say about this, I mean, it's fun to talk about. It's going to be fun. But what I said before, that's all that matters. Come back in a second. This is the menorah. And as you can see, we got all the feast. I call them the Feast of Jesus. So everybody probably recognizes this. But in this, it's amazing that Jesus Christ has fulfilled and will fulfill all of the feast. Passover, that's the first one. Jesus fulfilled that with his death on the cross. Amazing. A day later, the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts. And guess what? In perfect timing, Jesus fulfilled that with his burial. 2 days after the Passover is the Feast of First Fruits, which Jesus fulfilled on his resurrection. At the exact days of the feast, Jesus fulfilled them. And guess what? 50 days after the Feast of First Fruits is the Feast of Pentecost, Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, Shavuot. And that, how Jesus fulfilled that is he gave the disciples the Holy Spirit. They were up in the upper room, and the Holy Spirit came upon them 50 days after Jesus' resurrection. So, next on the list, I believe that Jesus will fulfill is the Feast of Trumpets, which I believe will be the rapture of the church. And then the next after that will be the Day of Atonement that Jesus will fulfill when he comes back, returns as king. Then the last feast, the Feast of Tabernacles, which I believe he will fulfill with a 1,000-year celebration. So it's awesome. And we'll come back and talk about 2025. So now we're going to talk about why I believe the rapture of the church could be on the Feast of Trumpets and this year on the Feast of Trumpets. So the phrase that Jesus says in Matthew 24, where he says, no one knows the day or hour, I believe that is a Jewish idiom for the Feast of Trumpets. Because on that day, the new moon had to be visually sighted by 2 witnesses to signal the start of the Feast of Trumpets. So that's why they call that feast the day no one knows the day or hour, that feast. So we got that, why I believe it could be the Feast of Trumpets. And now let's talk about the timeline, why it could be this year, 2025. So we got a timeline right here. We got the death of Jesus Christ in AD 32. A lot of scholars believe it happened, the death of Christ on the cross on AD 32. Take that, and another thing, a lot of people believe that we had 4,000 years of human history before Christ's death on the cross. Take that, 2,000 years to the year 2032. That's 6,000 years of human history. Then guess what? We have the 1,000 years of celebration afterwards. God's perfect week, 7, the number of completion. That'd be 7,000 years of human history before the new heavens, new earth. So let's talk about further. We got 1948, the birth of Israel. Already an incredible miracle in itself, the birth of Israel. And let's talk about the importance between 1948 to 2025. 77 years have happened. The significance of that is Jacob, who is Israel in the Bible, God gave him the name Israel in the Bible. Jacob was 77 years old when he started to work for Laban to get Leah and Rachel. And that's Jacob's trouble. He had to work to get Rachel and Leah after that 7 years. So this is the start of Jacob's trouble as I see it. And we will come back in a second. And we'll we're back. So, hopefully everybody understands why the 77 years, why it's so important to Jacob. Jacob equals Israel. So 1948 to 77 years. And Israel has never made it over 80 years of being in existence as a nation, I believe. You might have to quote me on me. I might have to fact check me on that one. But so 77 years brings us to this year. Amazing. And the 7 years of toil, Jacob's trouble to get Leah and Rachel. And that's the 7-year tribulation as I see it. So, this is where it gets crazy. The day counts. So, the Feast of Trumpets this year is September 22nd to 24, 2025. So, if you add those numbers up, which 1290 days from Daniel 12, 11, and 12. If you look that up in the Bible, you will see the numbers 1290 days. I believe that is the first 3.5 years of the tribulation. Then, you plus that by the 1260 from Revelation 12:6, which I believe is the second 3.5 years of the tribulation. That, so the 1290 days plus 1260 days equals 2,550 days. And this is amazing. From Feast of Trumpets, September 22nd to 2,550 days, all the way to the Day of Atonement, September 15th, is exactly 2,550 days to the Day of Atonement in 2032, which would be the exact next feast for Jesus to fulfill. The exact 7-year period that's in the Bible. Amazing. You get chills talking about it. So, in that, so other things, we got earthquake going like crazy. We got wars, rumors of wars. And another huge thing that I believe could be the signing of the covenant in Daniel 9:27 is we got a big UN meeting on, guess what? On the Feast of Trumpets. On 9/23. Look it up. The start of the UN high-level general debate starts that day. And just this last Friday, on 9/12/25, the UN General Assembly endorsed the declaration of a two-state solution, which passed with overwhelming for 142 nations for a two-state solution, with only 10 against and 12 that abstained. So it's amazing how many people are trying to get this two-state solution and turning against Israel, which all us Christians know that was the land given to God in the Bible to the Jewish people. So hopefully, whether you believe in the rapture or not, I know that Jesus is near. So this is amazing. Whether he comes on the Feast of Trumpets this year or if he comes in 100 years from now, if you know the gospel, that's all that matters. But this is amazing right here. Over now.